I never actually learned how to lucid dream. I've always been able to do it since a kid, and I actually thought every kid did it. I thought everyone did it because I just thought it was just a natural part of dreaming, to be honest with you. I'm not sure why that is. I think maybe some people just have a knack for these things. But I also, at the time, even as a little kid, I did always used to question everything, question my reality, question my place in the world. I used to be very skeptical about, is this even a dream right now? So I think that really helped me kind of like pop me into the awake state whilst I was dreaming, But from reading your book, you talk about how actually it was a conscious effort of you from reading the Carlos Castaneda books that you started looking at your hand. And I think that's a very good place to start off, because if you start seeing like 10 fingers or something like that on one hand, then there's something off, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I do recall having spontaneous lucid dreams when I was like 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
But when I was a junior in high school, so I'm about 17 years old at the time, I started reading a book called Journey to Ixtlan by Carlos Castaneda. And Castaneda, of course, was a UCLA graduate student who was studying psychotropic plants, back in the late 60s, early 70s. And so he found this shamanic teacher, Don Juan. And in this book, Journey to Ixtlan, it's a fascinating book, and actually probably his best book. But in this book, Don Juan told Carlos that he could become consciously aware in his dreams by finding his hands. And there really wasn't a technique, and so I just created my own technique. So each night before I'd go to sleep, I'd just look at the palm of my hands for about 5 minutes. I'd just stare at them while constantly repeating in my mind, tonight in my dreams I'll see my hands and realize I'm dreaming. Tonight in my dreams I'll see my hands and realize I'm dreaming. Tonight in my dreams I'll see my hands and realize I'm dreaming. And then I'd fall asleep. The third night of doing this, I'm walking through my high school, and all of a sudden my hands pop right in front of my face, and I realize I'm dreaming. And when I realized I was dreaming, it was just like a total mind blow to realize these guys over there, they're just dream figures, and this wall that feels so cool and nubby is just dream stuff. And so I went on to have an incredible lucid dream. There's more to it, but that's how I got started consciously inducing lucid dreams. And that was back in 1975. So that was the same year that in England, in Great Britain, Keith Hearn found a lucid dreamer, Alan Worsley. But Keith Hearn wondered, well, how could you prove it? And so then Keith Hearn realized you could bring him into the sleep lab and have him signal with his eyes. And so it was that same year, I think it was April 13th of 1975, that Alan Worsley signaled in a sleep lab at the University of Hull that he is consciously aware. So anyway, the time was right for lucid dreaming.
That's right. You talk about that in the book, and you said that he sort of made 8 signals to the right with the right hand or something like that. And then did it actually show up on the what was it, the polysomnograph? What was it?
Yeah. They have a rapid eye movement polygraph indicator that measures the eye, which way the eye is looking. And so Alan Worsley realized he was lucid dreaming, remembered that he's part of an experiment. He looked left and right 8 times. And that's such an unusual movement to see both eyes moving in synchrony left and right 8 times.
And it showed up, did it?
Yeah, it showed up.
That is incredible, because that is almost like bridging two different worlds together. I think that's absolutely incredible.
It truly is. When you think that you can be watching somebody, but they're consciously aware within a dream, and they're signaling with their eyes. And even now, researchers are using this when they do scientific research. But like, let's say you bring the lucid dreamers into the sleep lab, you have them signal with their eyes when they're lucidly aware, and then sometimes they'll have them signal with their eyes when they're beginning the experiment, and then they'll signal with their eyes when they're concluding the experiment.
Wow.
And so then they can get, they know that piece of data in between, I'm starting the experiment, ending the experiment, that all that data in between there, represents what they were looking for in the experiment.